Welcome to Embracing Humans. This is where healers talk to healers. And I do what I can to convey what Spirit is wanting the healers of the world to know. There have been a lot of cushion sitting and in the closet praying and weeping and wailing. There's been a lot of healing being done. And I've met a lot of healers who have decided to undergo this process of clearing away the programming, clearing away what was never theirs. I've done a lot of the work myself. I have decided that I want to be of support to healers. And now that I've reached crone status, I believe I can just do that. And I was kind of told to. so I'm just doing what I'm told. And whatever challenges, technological challenges there are, and the various things that occur in this process, I'm just doing it. And you've done your own work and you know that there's not a choice but just to do it. I want this format to assist the healers that need assisting in support, in camaraderie, and sometimes just simply remembering you're not alone, that the healing that you've done has fruit that's going to be brought and is being brought out into the world. The therapist offices are overcrowded. I've had people tell me they can't find a therapist because we're all so busy. And I know in my own life as a spiritual counselor and now as a mentor to healers that the demand has grown because there are so many humans healing. And there aren't enough people to stand in that space for this transition in the human collective. So the healers that are coming forth out of the ditches of despair from their own healing, and out of the libraries and out of the research labs and out of the books and the videos and the workshops and the retreats that we've all been doing, so that we can clear out the programming of the culture and the family of origin. Those healers are coming forward and filling this gap. We could even say there's kind of like a spiritual supply demand going on here. The ministers of the world and the religion can't hold this. It's bigger than that. The transition in human consciousness that is happening in front of our very eyes and in our hearts has created this time where the healers that have gotten their certifications or not gotten their certifications, the healers who have become ministers or not become ministers, the healers that have been called to be a life coach but aren't putting their name or their self out there. I want this space to be for you. There's been a lot of conversation about what this change is creating, but I haven't heard a whole lot about what's happening to the healers and in their minds and in their lives. And so this is about you. If you're a beginning healer, established healer, and let me just define healer for you. This is how I've defined it. A human who compassionately continues to heal their illusion of separateness, deepens their claim to spiritual inheritance of peace and wisdom, and works alongside others as they do the same. The spiritual movement that's occurred in these last many years did not occur in brick and mortar. They occurred in the closet of despair, and they occurred in the healing centers sometimes, but mostly it's been in the living rooms, on the recliner, it's been at the desk, it's been in the bed with the blankie over your head. I know because I've done it. I've been there, and I've been working with healers for a while now, and they spend a lot of time in bed with their blankie over their head. It takes a lot of work to allow yourself to be deprogrammed, and for the dismantling of the self that was created in the unconscious mind. It takes a lot of surrender. And I remember when I first started in my spiritual counseling work saying to Source, tell me what carrot I can hold in front of them so that they will keep going, and so that they'll keep healing, and that what brought them into my office will continue. and I was told, and this is deep, the carrot is within them. That needs to be a t-shirt, bumper sticker. The carrot is within them. And of course it's true. The carrot to awaken and to align and to heal and to surrender is within us. There have been centuries upon centuries where there's been only one or two healers in a particular culture that has carried the torch for the populace. That has changed. That has changed, and it needs to be supported. The many healers that have come off the cushion to be of assistance in real time, where the rubber meets the road kind of stuff, are many, and more are coming. So my hope is that I can be of service to you. I'm really liking this. I didn't know that I was going to be doing this, but you know how it is. You know, sometimes books are written by a writer, and it's the hope of the writer that the book will be of service to others and be read by others, of course. And sometimes the book was written for the healer, for the writer, to process as a cathartic method. And it's fantastic, and it's wonderful, because writing is such a beautiful tool to clear out some of the stuff that needs to be cleared out and healed, so that a more joyous life can be experienced and lived. It's the same way with healers. Many people are healing so that they can be better parents and better spouses and better humans, where they become less defensive and less triggered and more joyful and more open to the joy that's in this paradise that we were plopped into on this earth. But there are many writers who were to write a book and have that book shared with many people, so that those many people can also heal. And there it is, the same way with healers. The healing was done for the healer, and it's ongoing. And the healer was done for those that had come into their sphere of influence. Every healer has to ask themselves a question. Am I willing to do what I came here to do? Am I willing to remove the resistance? Am I willing to have the resistance removed? Am I willing to open myself completely for the greater good, so that the wisdom of Source can live through me, through my unique self, You will be able to reach people that I will never be able to reach. And I will be able to reach people that you will never be able to reach. The world needs every single one of us. On this channel, I'm going to interview healers that have gone through the process. They've gone through the weeping and the wailing. They've gone through the despair. They've gone through the resistance of surrender. They've gone through what we have to go through in order to become available for the highest wisdom to be used through us. And I'm so looking forward to that, because it's going to feed you, and it's going to feed me, and it's going to feed them. It's going to make us remember this upswelling of healers that are coming forward to be assistants to the humans that are waking up. And that language, waking up, has to be talked about for just a moment. Waking up spiritually is not about understanding and getting clear on what a particular government is doing or not doing. Waking up is about finding out who we really are. Waking up is about getting out of the mode of I am merely human. Waking up is what Jesus showed, what Buddha showed. Waking up is about walking on this earth with a lot more peace and a lot more harmony and a lot more joy. And while the world gets dismantled, and while the systems of our world get dismantled, as Eckhart Tolle says, we get more centered on who we are. And there's a strength and there's a power there. But mostly, there's love. And I am a follower of near-death experiencers. I love their stories. I get fueled by their stories. I learn from their stories. I remember that I am one with the one by hearing those stories, and that we're all one with the one, that we are the one. But I have a suspicion that humans are moving toward a time where we don't need to die in a car wreck to know who we are and to get in touch with our spiritual psychic gifts. That the little deaths that occur and the big deaths that occur are spiritual, mental, and emotional while in meditation, or while looking at a hummingbird feed on a feeder, or while looking at a flower or a mountain landscape, or looking into a dog's eyes or a child's eyes or a friend's eyes or a lover's eyes. Little deaths that remind us of our eternal, infinite nature. I found out that if I was willing to die in that way, that I could live a much more joyous life. And I love that I made that discovery. And I want others to know that too. I want everybody to know that. And I want us to continue to remind each other that that's possible. All of these books and all of these videos and all of the social media, all of these memes, this is new. This is new, and it's important because humans haven't known who they were. We haven't known. We thought we were just this material, physical being trying to get through life. Pay your taxes and die, as my daddy would say. Got the got-tos. All of these retreats and workshops that everybody's doing, going to have a payoff. You're raising the vibration of this earth. And I want to thank you for that. Because I think it influences me. I know it influences me. When the human collective is in a storm, a stormy period. I feel that. And when the human collective is in a stretch of time of emancipation and expansion, I feel that. So thank you. And thank you for the healers that I get to interview. Which brings me to the person I'm interviewing today. And I'm so looking forward to this. She's actually agreed to be my first interviewee. She's a bud of mine and truly on a journey. And we have amazing conversations, and she bolsters my journey up so much. And even though we don't get to talk very much or see each other very much, I know that she exists, and I know the work that she's doing in the world. And somehow that makes a difference for me. And I know that y'all understand that. So that's all I'm going to say. So Stephanie Nelson was born and grew up in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Understatement, Pacific Northwest, beautiful, amazing place. After graduating college, she worked as a financial advisor for 16 years, helping people retire. And by the way, you'll see this as a theme if you haven't already. Lots of corporate people saying, "What am I doing?" And spirit saying, tapping on the shoulder. It was during this time Stephanie began to question the deeper meaning of life and began to feel there was more to this life than what she was currently living. This began for Stephanie to be on a journey of self-discovery, which is still unfolding, and that she senses has no end. By the way, that's a sign of a healer that you can trust. These days of unquestioning trust of authority, spiritual authority, gurus and such, we've had enough of that. So when you have a healer say to you, "I am still healing and I will continue to heal," trust them if you think it's right. Since leaving finance, Stephanie's journey of inner self-discovery has taken precedence over all else. Another sign. She has been supported on this journey by nature, shamans, spiritual teachers, plant teachers, and in so many other incredible ways. Her life has become an adventure, and she is grateful for all the support, including the challenges, another sign, that life has brought and continues to bring. She understands the challenges are opportunities, another sign, for her to continue to deepen in presence and to live in truth, which is her heart's deepest longing. Through this incredible journey, Stephanie is remembering through direct experience our essential true nature, which is peace, joy, bliss, and unconditional love. Stephanie is deeply devoted to living in truth and is passionate about supporting others who feel the call to live in truth as well. I will welcome Stephanie. There you are. Hey.
Hi.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're doing this.
Me too. Me too.
So your journey was like so many of our journeys, right? What would you like for the healers to know about what it means to go through the type of journey that you went through on your way to becoming a healer? What is it that you think that they might need to hear?
Well, I will say not just what I went through, but what also I'm continuing to go through on this journey.
Yes.
Because again, it does feel it gets ever infinitely unfolding.
Yes. Yeah.
But you asked what would I feel is the most important thing to share?
Yeah, some of the most important things. I know there's a lot.
Yeah. Is there a specific area you want me to speak to, or?
Well, you know what I find? Let me close this curtain a little bit. What I find is that a lot of healers know they're being called. Did you know you were being called?
I knew I was being called, like I knew that there was a sense of dissatisfaction with the way what I saw around me, and ultimately looking back, what was I was experiencing in myself was pretty
Yeah.
unpleasant. So I, I but I didn't at that time know that I would end up here.
Mm,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like I never
Yeah.
said, well, I want to be a healer. It was
Right.
more, I really felt a calling, like a deep knowing, a sensing that there's got to be more to this life than what I'm experiencing. And I really felt that in every cell of my being.
Yes.
And I was, I guess, relentless in a way, or not willing not to explore that and open to whatever that meant for me to understand more deeply who I was ultimately.
Yes.
And like I said, it continues to unfold. so
It does
so
with me too.
who knows where I'll be, 10 or 15 years from now. But
Or next year. I mean,
yeah. So
things are moving so quickly, aren't they?
yeah. So I would say probably the most important thing, if I could say to other healers or people on the journey of self-discovery and healing, is to really follow your nudges, follow
Uh-huh.
those little inclinations and the things that really call to you, because your heart's usually right. So
What was your biggest challenge?
my biggest challenge.
Maybe I shouldn't qualify that. Let's just pick a challenge.
Yeah.
Usually it's money,
Um,
isn't it?
I
Usually,
would no, actually
no?
money for me, because I
Ah,
one of the
right.
things about younger is I was very successful at a very young age
Yes.
financially.
Yes.
And so that was kind of what, I had kind of nicked off all the markers for social or cultural success based on our culture, and yet was still very unhappy. And that's where I
Yeah.
was kind of like, no, this can't be it. There's got to be more. So financially, it wasn't so much of a struggle. It was a little scary. I did leave finance eventually. There became a point where it was time for me to leave. And that was a little bit scary because it was giving up something that was very secure and known and lucrative to me. But I also felt that if I was to stay there, that it would be a slow death physically. So, so I had to leave. But I think the biggest challenge, and I think it continues to be a challenge, is giving up control and really surrendering to life and allowing this greater intelligence to guide my life. Because the little conceptual me likes to come in and be like, I think I know best. I think I know what needs to happen. And a lot of times I think that's, if I watch that pattern, it's out of fear
Yes.
and it's a contraction.
Yes.
And so it's learning to see that, but not act from it, and just
Yes.
move from that greater wisdom, greater intelligence, and let that move me. And also that requires, or has required, some patience.
Say more about that, because I hear a lot about
um,
patience in the
yeah.
work I do in the world.
Well, I this journey kind of started for me, I think, really around age 26 or 27, and I'm now 47. So a lot of time has gone by. And definitely, especially in the beginning, because I was so conditioned in the pace of
Yes.
modern life and just
Yes.
not really um, appreciating at first, like what was being slowly born out of this deepening.
Yes.
um, and not really able
Yes.
to see the fruits of
Yes.
that yet.
Yes.
So
Yes.
having the faith and just being able to stay the course and keep deepening, keep moving inward, and eventually I started to see more and more that yes, life is supporting me, and I'm more happy. I'm enjoying life more. I'm moving more freely. I'm not moving so much out of fear. I'm moving in the direction that feels like a yes to
Mm.
me, without worrying about like, is it all going to work out? How is it all going to work out? Or worrying less about that.
I had a client once who did a painting where the painting showed her feet, and then just in front of her feet was a light, and everything else was dark.
Mm.
So we're not told any further than
Yeah.
just right in front of us,
Yeah.
because our mind will grab onto it and we're gone.
Yes. Yeah.
I say I leave source in the dust. I'm like, see ya. I got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get
Yeah,
down a little way and I'm like, whoo, ouch. Okay. let's not do that. But I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah, I would say
ongoing
that's
surrender.
another. Yeah.
What were you
Yeah,
gonna
I
say?
would say that I was just gonna say that another challenge is just being the willingness to rest in the not knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a and I'm sure some other folks have put it out there, these are the steps of, surrender. One of the very first steps is that the unknowing triggers, if there's a wound of I am not good enough, the unknowing triggers that wound. And once that's healed a little bit or a lot, then the unknowing doesn't trigger I'm unworthy. We can sit with it. It's not an option anymore for the unknown to trigger unworthy, because we've gone through time. And I didn't really start this work until I was in my early 40s. So, and all of these younger than you, even young whippersnapper that you are, is coming up behind us. And, they came into this culture with all of these books and videos and other consciousness dimensional thinking.
Yeah.
But that seems to be one of the first stages that has to be addressed, is the unworthiness, that because the wound was born from the unknown. In other words, the wound, from my work, the wound was created from an external experience that came as a surprise. And that surprise created this unsettling within the child, and the child didn't see it coming and landed on I'm unworthy. And if that child came here this lifetime to be a healer, especially, that has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. And though I threw the Bible out with the bathwater, I have regained it, along with Blake and Mary Oliver and all, other beautiful spiritual books. But there's a beautiful scripture that says, I will restore what the locusts have eaten. And I'm finding that in my spiritual journey, and it's lovely. And I see that in so many humans, that what they came from is and weakness is being turned into strengths. I will turn your weaknesses into strength. That's hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have some spiritual experiences that kind of like blew your mind a little bit, that helped you along with being able to surrender to not being in control, that were kind of outside human experience?
I did have, well, I had the most recent experience that I told you about at the retreat that I was at recently, which was, I think I've had some, I guess, mystical, or a really profound mystical experience, but the thing I put the most weight on is my direct experience in my daily life, as far as it meaning that like that I'm experiencing it over, over and over again, not just like this big, because I think a lot of times, and I've been a lot of times, I think on the spiritual path, there can be kind of a idea that um, that living in presence or living as an enlightened being is some mystical, magical experience. You're never going to have any more challenges. You're just going to be sitting in bliss and not have to pay your taxes, those kind of things. But that's not necessarily the case. And that saying, like chop wood, carry water, before enlightenment, and then afterwards chop wood, carry water. So it's the same, it's you're doing the same things oftentimes, but it's from a deeper state of being, or
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and just more present. So, but I had one experience that I would be happy to share, that I was very profound, I guess, in just a couple different ways. One, it happened when I was hugging somebody, and my spine went erect on its own. So I didn't do it. It was like an automatic response. And then I had my eyes closed, and I felt very flooded with emotions that I wasn't expecting, and just tears coming down my face. And I felt my chakras begin to be activated, which
Yes.
I really didn't know what chakra. I mean, I knew what chakras were, but I guess I really didn't. I read about them in a textbook, and I didn't really believe they existed, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
hear you.
And so for me, it was a big confirmation in that experience that yes, we are energy beings, and we do have chakras. And each of my chakras began to get activated one by one, and I could feel a very strong feeling of ecstasy and oneness, like everything was flowing through me, all of it, like every emotion. So there wasn't good or bad, it just was
Right.
all just going and flowing through me as one thing. And there wasn't any resistance or judgment or labeling. It just was like a waterfall of flow. And
Mm.
I could feel it, and coming until it reached my head and was coming back out. And it felt to me as if it was going up and then coming back down and then filling itself back up and then coming and back and then all out. So it was and so a couple things. One, the chakras was really powerful to recognize that, yes, we have those, and the recognition of the oneness for the first time in
Yes.
my, like, not just as a
Yes.
belief, because I think
Yes.
it's nice to believe, oh yes, we're all one, and that's so nice, but to actually feel and know that in my own inner experience. And then also the connection that I recognized in that we have these very soulful connections, like that we are not just meeting, because prior to that experience, I think I met people more on the physical, like how do they look,
Yeah.
what's their FICO score, or do they pay their taxes, all these really physical check.
Should I sleep with them?
Yeah, are they attractive physically, all those things.
Yes.
So from that moment forward, though, I was forever changed in the sense that I knew that these connections that we share with others, I mean, really there are no others, actually, because we're all one at the
Yes.
deepest
Yes.
level, but these different forms that the oneness shows up in,
Yeah.
we have these incredible connections with. And so from that point forward, I no longer sought relationships in that same way. I
Yes.
only wanted those relationships that I felt that deep, soulful connection with.
I made the cut.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed connecting with you.
And a beautiful serendipitous meeting. It was wonderful how this happened. I love your language about direct experience.
Yeah.
That was a direct experience that changed you.
Mhm.
Before it was concept. And I know in my own journey, I have set the intention to know that I am God in physical form.
Mhm.
And I know that it's still a concept, though I've had some, and they're kind of scary. I mean, frankly, because that energy is so huge and it
Mhm.
hits my little self. And so I know one of the reasons that it's hard for me, it's hard for that direct experience to happen. It has to happen in increments and become integrated slowly in our lives, because our brains will come out of our ears.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
so
really,
that there's the impatience. It's like, we have to trust that you don't want your brain to come out of your ears, do you? So I'm going to just
yeah.
what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just say the integration process I think is very important, and it's you know it does happen in time, and I think it's an important part of the process to allow the consciousness to penetrate the physical body and the energetic body.
Yes. Yes. From what I can see, not very many humans in all of human history have lived where they are walking, as spirit in human form in its totality. I mean, there only been one Jesus, one Buddha, and there's other amazing teachers that you and I both study and read and look at. Um, and that's okay. I mean, I used to not be happy about it, and then I realized that I was making myself miserable, and so I quit doing that and just accepted that that's the way it is. That what's happening now is the slow build, but also a quickening build of that very
Mm-hmm.
thing right before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you are an example of that. What type of work do you do with humans specifically right at this moment? Because I know that
Yeah,
also may
yeah.
change.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I do is it's really an offering or an invitation to deepen in being together. So basically supporting um, others and resting in their true nature, which is peace, unconditional love, joy. And what I've experienced in my own life is when we rest in being, just as a still, alert presence. There's no agenda. It's like a dropping of all the trying to fix and get rid of or change or become anything. It's just a total resting, a total allowing.
Mhm.
Then when we're resting, and I guess another way to say it is in consciousness or as consciousness,
Yes.
then that consciousness begins to penetrate the physical body and the energetic body and whatever needs to be seen. So, any limiting beliefs and just the conditioning that's there will start to come up to be seen. And whatever energy in the body that needs to move or start to unravel will begin to do that in the light of consciousness.
Mm.
And there's nothing really for the mind to do in this process. So it's a little uncomfortable at first because we're so conditioned to give our attention to the mind and move from the mind. So this is like an invitation to rest and being. And then in that light of consciousness, the healing, true healing, begins to happen without any effort on our part.
Mm.
And so
Just by just by being conscious.
yeah, just by resting in our true nature.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Does your client have like a memory that then their mind is involved, and then the mind is involved in the process?
Sometimes memories can come up, that can be part of it, but oftentimes, no, there isn't. If something does need to come up or be shown to someone, it will be. Um, but really, the mind tends to like to come in and like distract us from
Yes.
resting in this being, like with the
Yes.
stories. And so
Yes.
this
Yes.
is starting to realize when those stories come in to, you know, not try to get rid of them, but not also follow them and just see
Yes.
them, but stay
Yes.
resting as I am.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah. It's very healing. It's very nurturing for the system. In at least it's the most healing thing. And I feel like I've done a lot of things in my lifetime on this path. And it is, I think I see, Eckhart Tolle says the power of now, or the
Yeah.
power of, he might as well have wrote the book, The Power of Consciousness, because it's
Yeah.
kind of the same thing. And I really
Yes.
know that in my life, in my own experience, how powerful the light of consciousness is. And it's far greater than the limited mind. Um, and it knows how to heal, like the body itself in this intelligence and in its own intelligence knows how to heal. It knows what to do. And we just got
It's
to get our
amazing.
minds out of the way.
It's true. It's so true. I remember listening to an Abraham tape where somebody said, they stood up in the audience and said, "So why do I feel so much better when I'm on drugs?"
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I gotta hear this.
uh-huh.
And it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So of course the response was, because you're not in resistance,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Yeah.
not using the mind to be in resistance.
Yeah.
And in my own work with clients, for whatever reason, the work that I do in the world is, and Abraham would be very displeased by my approach, but it works for me. I, I, you know, uh, I remember hearing Abraham say one time, "Why would you ever want to get down to the bottom of anything?" And though I hold that in the light in which it was said, I also am someone who, my work in the world is to get down to what my human, and I say my human because they are within my sphere of influence. Spirit has brought them into my sphere of influence. So for the moment, they're my human for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't allow most clients to talk about, the all the horrible things that happen to them unless they really, really need to.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to get down to the belief that was created about themselves in that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it happened. And yes, we can dance around that and go there if we need to. But mostly we're going to look at who is the I am cloak that you put on in order to survive that. Because like you said, we're wired to heal.
Yes.
And we will do the very best we can to heal, but we're looking at a child's mind using the child's tools in order to heal. And what healers do a lot of is, whenever they get traumatized, they're like, how can I fix this? And how can I fix the other person so that this won't happen again? Because we came here with an inclination to heal. And so then we'll try to heal them and it won't work. And it's usually our mother or father that we try to heal. And for some reason, parents are resistant to that.
Yeah. I think anybody's actually pretty resistant to being changed or having someone try to change them. I've noticed.
I've noticed that myself. But especially a parent, and I call them tall people, being tried to heal by the little person. And so then the child also is carrying the I am a failure because they're going to fail. And so my work in the world is to get down to that I am, that core wound I am. And that's where I do all of my chiseling.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I love this work. And though the word I am is getting tossed around quite a bit. I love that it is. And of course, I really, really would like for humans to really get, like I want to get what this really is all about. And we're getting there. It's an amazing time. Do you see that? Yeah. Do you see that we're living in an amazing time?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see.
I see a lot of challenges. Which I think are incredible opportunities, because I know from my own first-hand experience in my own life that challenges are opportunities for growth.
Yes.
And
that's the good news and the bad news.
Yeah, we have a profound opportunity, I think, right now or invitation. I think what I feel and sense is, a lot of people are challenged with health things, financially, and in so many other ways. And also there's a sense, I think what I see is that the being able to feel, even though it was it was an illusion, being able to feel like there is safety and security in the external world is not available now. People are really aware that, before I think you could kind of pretend or be under the illusion that, life is safe and secure. But now I think people are like, no, the safety and security, it's not out there. So where is it? Oh, it's in me. Yeah. So I really feel like the only place that's really safe to rest in all this turbulence and chaos and whatever else that's going on is in the heart of our own being, and to be able to rest there, because that's where we will know peace, no matter what is going on externally.
Whew. And that's why we need more healers like yourself. It's a lot of people I've discovered over the years. One of the reasons that the last place we go to is inside is because a lot of people, because of religion and because of woundedness and trauma, and everybody's been traumatized. Just being born into physical form is traumatizing. So many people carry that I am unworthy, and so they can't go inside, because if they go inside, all they're going to meet is the accuser. And that is one of the reasons that I so love the near-death experiences, and that's why I so trust your journey, is because it's based in love. It's not based in knowledge, it's based in love. And so many of the near-death experiences, that's what the discovery is, that all there is love, and they come back different humans. If you were to try to, sometimes I think our spiritual groups and spiritual journeys and spiritual community, we don't talk enough about where the rubber meets the road. What does your healing provide for you and being a human form.
Mhm.
Where the
Yeah.
rubber meets the road,
Yeah.
what changes have occurred in your life and in your
Um,
client's life? What do you see?
yeah. Yeah. Well, in my own life, I I've had so many healing. I mean, so much benefit. It's just incredible. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint any one thing, but my relationships are so much healthier. I had,
Yes.
I would say, just I had a really modeling growing up with relationships was very toxic. So I,
Yeah.
I kind of went out and explored that as the only way I knew at the time.
Of
And
course.
so like now my relationships are so much, they're just beautiful and nourishing and supportive. And I only get involved in relationships that really speak to my heart.
Yeah.
And I'll say only, but more and more I move only in the directions that really speak to my heart.
Yes.
So where the mind wants to go, well, maybe I should join this thing because if I don't, then I'll miss out. And what if I miss out on this? And da 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 da.
Right.
And so
Right.
there's like that's a more of a fear-based movement.
Yeah.
So I can still see the mind doing that, and maybe it'll come in and say that, but I don't follow it. And so therefore I don't move from that. Instead, it's like, does this feel true for me? No, it doesn't. Okay, well, then I won't move that way. And if it's a yes, and it doesn't necessarily make sense, and I'm not sure exactly how
Right.
it's all going to work out,
Right.
I still move in that direction. So I would say there's a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
There's more just inner peace, no matter what's happening around me, which is very nice in these times because there's a lot happening
Yes.
externally. My life is a lot simpler. I don't, to some people, it might be kind of boring, but, there isn't a lot of drama as far, like everything's pretty simplistic and I enjoy just being. It's just, and as far as my clients go, it's hard to, there's so many unique people that I work with and in
Yes.
different ways,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
what I see kind of overall is the same thing in their lives where they begin to be more peaceful,
Yeah.
follow more what feels true for them instead of just moving from fear and conditioning.
Yes. Yes.
And
So rubber meets the road. Like if your car breaks down 15 years ago, how would you have responded? And now, how would you respond? Or is there any difference?
yeah, I would
Or
say
should I go back
definitely. Like,
25 years ago?
I think, well, maybe, yeah, you could probably go back further, but I think it would have been more of a mental response. Like, why is this happening? Maybe, what did I do wrong that this is happening? This whole mind
Yes,
thing.
it's
Where
painful.
now it would just be like, okay,
It's happening.
I've got a challenge. Yeah, this is happening. What's my best course of action?
Yeah,
And or is there any action that I can take or need to take in this moment? Sometimes there's not. I do find that when I'm more present, there's a lot less action oftentimes that needs to take place. And then when I do take action though, it's usually more fruitful because it's
right.
from this deeper state of being, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
action from this peacefulness.
Yes. Yes. It doesn't come from the solution doesn't come from a chaotic fix.
Yeah.
It comes from a deeper wisdom. Uh,
Yeah.
and the little things, the little things that are big, like
Mhm.
being present when you're making a salad,
Yes.
or to right action meaning coming from the deeper place instead of the mental chaotic place. um
Yes.
uh,
I think that's so important right now. I
it
really do,
is.
because there is already so much chaos. And so
Yes.
if you're not coming from that deeper place and
Yes,
that deeper stillness, then you're just adding more to the chaos.
that's right. That's right. And one of the things, another stage in the early on is creating that observer self that can observe the thought instead of being all up in it, observing the
Yeah.
thought as in the observer and the non-judgmental observer.
Yes.
And so giving yourself that chance, that opportunity to not be pulled into an emotional response of fear. I mean, that's, you know, back in cave person times, that's a spear in your hand. You know, that's a tool.
Uh-huh.
it's it's worth sharpening.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
to have that right action whenever there's a decision to be made, and
Mhm.
not being made from the chaotic mind. That's a
Yeah.
that's a huge thing to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
The less chaos that I have, the less chaos I'm offering to the world and the people around me.
Mm.
And it's more
Yeah.
fun. It's funner. It's a hell of a lot more fun than what I used to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you mind very much sharing? I'm putting you on the spot, but you kind of alluded to it earlier. That amazing experience that you had recently in Colorado at that retreat. Because
Mhm.
when you told me that story, I said, and I still stand by that was like a near death experience without having to
Mhm.
have a car wreck, without having to
Mhm.
die, except that you kind of died. I think the healers would so, and the humans listening to this, healer humans listening to this would so benefit from that story.
Mhm. I will try. I don't remember exactly what I shared, but I will do my best
You won't be
to.
you won't be saying it from your mind, remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
can, because I don't remember what I said, but yeah, I would be happy to share. Really, my experience was just really deepening into the stillness, like in a way that I had not touched to those depths before.
Yeah.
And then the beautiful thing about, one thing I want to say before I go into this is we are already this peace and unconditional love, which is so beautiful, which is I also recognized in
Yeah.
this experience, which or state of being that I was in, was that we're already this unconditional love and peace. So we don't have to even create it or do anything, but just rest in it. It feels to me like a resting,
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
like being by being like being held in unconditional love, just in every possible way. And
Yeah.
um it was so incredibly sweet. We are so beautiful as beings, so incredibly beautiful. And to feel the unity and the oneness, I was able to really feel that what we are, what we all are, and everything is all one. It's the it's the essence of everything. And so, and I was gonna, I felt very peaceful in that state, and but also in a even deeper than I ever felt the peace.
Mm.
And I do believe it's infinitely unfolding. So you could just
Yes.
keep
Yes.
deepening.
Yes.
There's no end.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
I also just felt very even more peace in knowing that underneath all the chaos and the craziness, this is what we are. We are already this. And so no matter what is going on, that's undeniable that this is what we are. We are peace and unconditional love.
Yeah.
So to me, everything's okay. Everything is okay. And really also just the awareness of we just need to remember that that's what we are. At the deepest level, that's what we are.
That's the trick, isn't it?
What's that?
That's
Cut
the
out there.
trick. That's
Yeah,
the trick.
that's
And
the trick.
the remember, that's the trick.
Yeah.
I love your language so much because it just is. It's already there. 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 It ain't going nowhere. It's it's it has stayed loyal, waiting for our return. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay with us. I know I'm breaking up a little bit, but hopefully
Yeah,
you
unfortunately,
caught.
I didn't get to hear what you just said.
Yeah, I was just the internet's going in and out a little bit this time of day, I guess. We live out in the country, folks. I was just reiterating really what you said about that it's already there. It's going to stay there. It ain't going anywhere. It's it's waited for the disaster for you to turn toward it. You know, it's just waited,
And
just
hopefully there doesn't need to be a disaster.
well, the opportunity. I personally had to have a few disasters before I was willing to take the opportunity. I did not see it as an opportunity, though I understand that crisis means opportunity. Um, and I often tell new clients that whenever I see a car wreck, or I see a divorce, or I see a loss of job, or I see a tragedy, I see that you can put it in a lot of different ways. You can put that their soul has tapped them on their shoulder. You could say that the universe has tapped them on their shoulder, but an invitation has been put forth to try a different way. And the society that you and I live in, it is amazing that there's enough new consciousness on this planet now where we can hold the space for those humans that are waking up themselves in their awakening process. And as many can will come forward and heal their heart and heal their mind. And the healers are going to be there waiting on them. Thank you for you. Thank you for doing this with me. I so appreciate you. I'm so glad that the chess piece was moved and you were on my chessboard. I love it.
Me too. And I really, really appreciate being here with you. I always enjoy our conversations.
Thank you. I hope to do this again with you down the road. We'll find out where you are and what kind of work you're doing in the world, because you are somebody who has surrendered. And I there used to be a thing called the E-Ride in Orlando in Disney World, and it was the most tumultuous ride that was called the E-Ride. And thank you for taking the E-Ride. Thank you, Stephanie. I will be in touch, and thank you again. I so appreciate you. We'll do this again.
Thank you.
Bye.